All right, boys, welcome back to the FFL podcast. We have not done one of these in a little bit, and I have to first and foremost, I have to apologize. The reason we haven't done this is entirely my fault, because there was plenty of times where me and I were like texting to like get on here and do another podcast, and for whatever reason, I've been very busy, been doing a lot of crazy real estate stuff, and so we haven't done one in a little bit. But I do want to keep doing them going forward. And actually, we worked up a schedule to like do 5 of these a year that I'll send in the group chat at some point. But we're back, and we're gonna do a little playoff primer, right, Mio?
Yeah. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think we
A
have
lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of things that didn't expect. A lot of drama.
Yeah, drama for your mama.
Been a wild year.
Yes,
been a wild year, and
that's a good segue because there's no greater drama right now than myself. Everything in our league has been burning down around me because of me. When you see that meme, and it's like we're all trying to find the guy who did this, and it's just like himself, right?
That's amazing skit.
Yeah, so that's me right now. Obviously, I missed the playoffs. I'm 8-6. Currently, this week, it is week 15, and I am projected to have the most points in the league this week. In the consolation,
you finished regular season. You finished regular season with most points too.
Yep. Yeah. So
it's difficult.
Most points in the regular season. Projected most points. And I'm going to run simulations later to see if I would have made it, if I would have won, just to drive myself even crazier.
Yeah. Do that.
I was trying to go through and like look at like how did this even happen, right? Like how is it possible? And what I came to learn was that on my biggest explosion weeks, I was just facing people that had bigger explosion weeks. Because, like, on paper, I had more points for than points against. I did have a lot of points against, but I wasn't even the league leader in points against, so I can't really blame it on that. But, like, I had weeks where... So, obviously, starting out the year, I lost Tua. I was starting Bo Nix whenever he hadn't played any football yet. And then I lost Pacheco. I can't remember who else I had on my team at this time, but
yeah, you lost AJ Brown at some point.
Yeah, AJ Brown was hurt. Tank Dell was not performing. One week I had to start DeMarcus Robinson. That's embarrassing.
I remember one week I had to trade you to Kobe Brissett.
Yeah, that's right. I did have to start Jacoby Brissett at one point. I started Roshan at one point too. So, yeah, we were struggle busting for a while there.
I like Roshan.
Yeah, I like Roshan too. He's okay. But yeah, so like week 9, I lost to Dove. Dove had one of the highest scores in the league, 194 to 197. And then this back half of the year was nuts. I somehow beat Jason, 233 to 225. I beat Kansas by less than a point. I lost to Mio. Mio had a big explosion game week 13. And then I lost to Impervious with the now notorious 270 game, where he had, I think it was 11 touchdowns by skill position players, non-QBs. Jordan Addison had 3 touchdowns. Rashad White had 2 touchdowns. Judy had a touchdown. Puka had a rushing touchdown and 12 catches and a receiving touchdown. I mean, it's kind of comical to look at how insane this is. Like if you had to guess how many people who started Josh Allen last week lost, like across fantasy, because I had 6 touchdowns with Josh Allen and it didn't even matter. That's wild. But this right here, this Amon-Ra 7 points, AJ Brown 6 points, T Higgins 3 points, Travis Kelce 7 points. Like this was like my loss right here from those guys. But anyway, yes, I am.
That's just the nature. It's just the nature of wide receiver.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes they score you 40, and sometimes they score you 3, and you never know.
Yeah, Yeah, and I obviously
Oh,
if
and gotta give a shout out to Tyrell Dodson, Nate Herbig.
yeah, I think his name is Nick Herbig. I think yeah, close enough. Yeah, those guys. Now I'd be kicking myself more if I didn't lose by 40 anyway. If I would have lost by like 10 or 20, I might have jumped in a tub with a toaster. But we're here. Obviously, it's my fault for not instituting what and again, I can't remember when we talked about it, but we talked about at some point that we
definitely talked about it.
Yeah, we should do a wild card instead, and I'd be in the playoffs right now if we did that, but we did not, and so we're all trying to find the guy who did this, and it was me. So yes, I'm depressed. I'll probably never get over this. I'll probably make a lot of dumb decisions this offseason because I just want to win more. And here we are. So, yeah. So,
I think you need to rebuild.
Yeah, I think I'm going to tear it all down. My team sucks.
That said, I want to start segueing into the next section.
Yeah, so
it really doesn't really seem like we've had a lot of how do I put this? We have a lot of competitive teams and not a lot of teams that are rebuilding right now, which is very nice.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting market this offseason. Okay, so yeah, so going into the next section here. So me and Mio are going to talk about our biggest surprises of the 2024 regular season in the league. Just in general, like who surprised us the most as far as owners are concerned. So like, Mio, I'll let you start with your two biggest surprises of this year.
Well, the biggest surprise I had this year was just how much parity there was. Like Dove winning 6 games, I didn't really have on my bingo card. Omelet winning 7 games, I definitely didn't have. But it felt like this year more than most other years, it really was just an any given Sunday situation where you can win against anyone, you can lose against anyone. And it seemed like every division was at least sort of competitive. Like, obviously, we had the 3-team tie in the one division.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, our division was division of death.
Dude, but even division is hilarious.
But even, like, all the bad teams that were in the same division were close to each other.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was very nice. I felt like everyone sort of had a chance, or could, like, talk themselves into thinking they had a chance. Right until close to the end, which is probably good. But it does make the market very interesting whenever you have all these people who want to buy and no one who's really all that interested in selling.
Yeah, that's the crazy part is if
and like for good reason too, because there's so many teams that this is plausible. It's possible you can sneak in and win 3 games.
Right. Yeah, I mean we literally have a 4-10 guy in the playoffs right now. It's really funny too because like
and it's not even the lowest in points 4.
Yeah, we have a powerhouse division in ours, obviously, and then we have the NFC South was literally all tankers. Like Kyle's team name is Zero Good Players Strat. Coach Kip was tanking, and Kansas ended up kind of rebuilding, but kind of staying in it. He had the most points in that division, but yeah, ended up at 4-10. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of parity, and yeah, Kyle somehow won half his games with a team that has a negative 300 point differential. That's that's pretty funny. Okay, so going into my my biggest surprises of the season here. So obviously the biggest surprise to everyone is that I missed the playoffs. It
was definitely a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Like going into the season, I'm thinking, okay, it's me and Impervious for this last playoff spot. I really got to make sure I beat him twice.
Yep.
And then obviously I start the season losing to him, and I'm like, oh, great. But,
dude, yeah.
You know.
It's, I don't it's still, even sitting here, it just doesn't sit right with my soul. Obviously, there's a great injustice that happened in our league, and that's that Club Penguin is not waddling around, but yeah.
Oh no, we're gonna talk about Waddle later.
Yeah, yeah, we'll talk about Waddle later. Yeah, and so my other two that I wanted to talk about were LaMarvelous, because he's always a topic of conversation. LaMarvelous.
Oh, definitely.
LaMarvelous,
Always
in
thinking
my
about
opinion,
him.
yeah, always, yeah,
He doesn't even pay rent.
rent free. LaMarvelous and D Money is not going to like this. He's already going to be clicking off the video because he's going to be so mad. I believe that this year, LaMarvelous made a decision, and what I mean by that is, at some point, he turned from being the farm system that we all know and love, and getting good players and then deciding to sell them an hour later and stuff like that, to finally being like, hey, what if I kept like a couple of these good players on my team? Because,
Took off the training weights.
Right. Like I got to give it to him. Like he knows how to get trades done.
I didn't think he was capable of, like, I thought all these good players were going to burn a hole in his pocket, but prove me wrong.
Because, yeah, I mean, like, if you would have told me that at the end of the season, LaMarvelous would have a team like this, wily veterans, guys that have switched teams, yeah, have two quarterbacks,
shot to win as anybody.
Yeah. I mean, he's a probably a top 4 favorite in the playoffs right now, maybe even top 2. And it really does, in my opinion, it was always just a matter of time until LaMarvelous was like, what if I, instead of trading all these pieces away, decided to try and win? Now, with that being said, this man had some of the easiest games I've ever seen, sitting there with 2,100 points against. And now he did score a lot. I'm not saying he didn't score a lot, but he did not get mollywopped like we did in our division, or poor Coach Kip with the 2,600 points against.
I never know to think about the points against, because I think there's a certain extent to which, yeah, they're not scoring points against you because the good players are on your team. Like,
that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
And so I never really know what to make of that. Like, well, obviously, like, you know, like for someone like you, like, yeah, it really shows something. But like, I was in this division of death. I think I'm like 11th in points against. Like, I was getting everyone's bad weeks.
Yeah, and it is like as weird as it is a any given Sunday type of scenario. Like, I was projected to beat Impervious last week by 30, and I lost by 40. He scored 100 more points than his projection. So any given Sunday, crazy stuff can happen like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think the big switch was just LaMarvelous said, hey, what if I kept some of these good players on my team instead of trying to use them as trade bait for more players or more picks or whatever? And he knows this. I know he does. He is officially all in right now because he has no draft picks. Obviously, he can change that with trading some of these guys later for draft picks. But as things sit right now, he has, I'm counting just off the top of my head, 1 guy really old, 2 guys really old, 3 guys really old. Like, these are all like 30 plus or 30-ish year old guys. So he will have to make a decision at some point. His QBs are young enough, though, so he'll be fine. But regardless, I'm proud of LaMarvelous for making the decision to not be a farm system, even for just this year. I'm proud of you. Good job. And then my last thing I had here was just Mio's season. Now, I remember going into the year, I gave you some props for how you rebuilt your team, and I still stand on that. But what I didn't see coming was that you'd have to bet on Sam Darnold like a lot of the year, especially because not only Trevor Lawrence get hurt, but he also just kind of generally wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And then to bet on, because you traded for Sam Darnold, right?
Yeah, I did. I traded for Sam Darnold. We're gonna get into him later, but
yeah. Yeah, so you traded for Sam Darnold, and
At any given moment, he can become Scam Darnold
yeah, and he has a couple of times. He had a 4-point game against Jacksonville. That's funny.
and like drop a 4-point game, and I'm always wary of that. But
Yeah. So
I was not. This is sort of a. I don't know if you wanted to get into this later, but I was really surprised that because it seemed like Dove wanted to compete this year. And obviously he has JJ McCarthy
yeah,
sitting in IR, and like I was in the division of death, so I wasn't really in a position to trade him points to try to get
right.
JJ McCarthy, but it really seems like, and like maybe like people tried and he just said no. I don't know.
I've tried.
But it really seems like if you're like if you were a rebuilder, like go after JJ McCarthy because
Yeah.
I kind of think anyone can succeed in that environment.
Yeah,
Well, not anyone, but you know what I mean.
right. Like anyone that's like mildly capable. Yeah, I completely agree. I before this season was like I'm like a half Kevin O'Connell truther, but now I'm like a full blown Kevin O'Connell truther. Like the stuff that he's done with that team is actually like mind-blowingly insane. I know we don't everyone's like, "Oh, the Vikings are pretenders." I really don't think they are. I think that they're like the next coming of the kind of like 49ers Rams thing where like they just always win because they have the best coaches. The fact that Darnold is doing this is insane.
That's true. You are a Flores truther, probably still too. I mean, I'm a Flores truther, but
Yeah, I am. As far as the defensive side of the ball goes, for sure. But yeah, so that was my last big surprise was just that Mio bet on Darnold and B that it worked because that's a crazy world to live in. I mean, if anyone's been watching football as closely as we have to go from the stuff that he was doing in, I don't know, 2020, 2021 to now is pretty insane. But
and that's what his fourth team, his fifth team.
Is it? Yeah, it's because he was. I'd have to look, but yeah, he's been around.
Jet. He's been to the Jets. He went to the Panthers that one year.
Yeah, that's right.
Ah.
It's at least his third, yeah. But anyway, so that's.
I mean, we are seeing that more often though. With,
yeah.
Gino and then Baker, and then I kind of wonder who's going to be next.
Right. No, there definitely will be someone. I was kind of scared that it was going to be forced to be a guy to go to the Dolphins there for a second, but right now Tua is still up and moving. So we will see.
He was low-key been killing it over the last month or so. Ever since they got Jonnu Smith.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
activated.
That's all we needed was our version of George Kittle, and now we're good. I was texting D Money about this, but they 1,000% have switched even more into a 49ers style offense. If you watch them, like they're running the exact same types of plays with like tight end, like running back as first target reads that the 49ers do with like McCaffrey and Kittle and stuff. And like they're running Tyreek Hill at like the line of scrimmage A-dot like Debo type stuff, and they're running Waddle on all like the crosser Ayuk stuff. It's really weird to watch, but that's what they've been doing. And
that means A-Chain's the new CMC.
I mean, if you want to know,
we love to see it.
If you want to know some inside baseball, the biggest reason why I went out and did the A-Chain for Breece Hall trade literally just comes down to the fact that when you think about the Jets, their identity is Rodgers, Adams, Garrett Wilson, throw the football. Breece is not a first read in their offense. He's not even like, it doesn't even sound like they want to run the ball. When you think about the Dolphins, we run so much stuff where A-Chain's the first read, and now Jonnu's the first read. And we've kind of been sleeping on Tyreek and Waddle this year. That could change, obviously. But A-Chain is getting 5-6 first read targets like every game. So that was a big reason why.
I mean, it's one of the, like, A-Chain is someone who, at the end of the day, I think Mike McDaniel is kind of smart. And he knows, okay, if I want to win games, I need to get the ball in the hands of my best players. And A-Chain is one of those guys.
Yeah,
and he's gonna do whatever he has to do to make that happen.
he will. Yeah.
And not every coach does that.
No.
And so you sort of have to be
Unfortunate.
able to recognize the guys that do and make bets like that.
Yeah. Yeah, the first read philosophy stuff can be like the stuff that's like really frustrating. Like AJ Brown for the last few weeks has not been getting, like, it seems like their identity is just not AJ Brown related, and it's really weird. But anyway, that's a whole other tangent. But now we're gonna go into our
I didn't know you were a member of the Philadelphia media. That's all they've been talking about for the last month.
Yeah, for sure. So now we're gonna go into our surprise. Oh, I'm gonna switch screens. Now we're gonna go to our surprise players that have surprised us the most in either overachieving and underachieving fashion. Not that they did overachieve or underachieve the most, but that they surprised us the most. So I'm gonna let Mio take the floor for his picks for most surprising guys.
Well, obviously, we talked about him a little bit, but and Sam Dar like who did? Yeah, Sam Darnold. Didn't see this coming, and I don't know how long it'll last, but we're gonna ride it till it's over.
I guess. All right. Quick question. What
Yeah.
if you had gun to your head? You have to bet the odds that he is the starter next year too, for the Vikings. What would you say?
No.
No. Okay.
I've paid attention to the situation a lot more than I was anticipating to. Obviously. And everything coming from their front office has with McCarthy that they don't want to pay, or like they're okay. I'll just put it this way: they're gonna the possibility that Darnold says, "I want to stay here anyway," and takes a discount. But he probably won't, because that's not how these things work. And he's probably going to go to, I don't know, Cleveland.
Yeah.
Be a bridge.
Yeah, and then see, I'm sad.
The Giants be a bridge.
Oh, I would just feel so bad for everyone. Now the Giants have a good draft pick, so they might do that and then draft Cam Ward and whatever, right?
I mean, the Giants, they got the receiver. They got the left tackle.
That's true.
And if they can get a solid quarterback in there, all those other places are not relatively easy to figure out. So I think the Giants can be a better situation than people realize pretty quickly.
I don't think this guy's in the doc, but just quick thing. How happy were you whenever I traded Tyrone Tracy so you could go get him?
I mean, I just needed a guy. We could probably go into this in underachievers, but my two starters running into the season were Jalen Warren and Tyjae Spears.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You know what's funny?
Now, like, the plan all along was like, okay, like I'm gonna see who's actually getting touches and then trade for him, but
sure.
Whew,
I thought
it was ugly.
The Monty trade has obviously been fine. Like, it's good because Monty's Monty.
Well, I got exactly what I expected. I was not expecting. Like, I gave up a lot more than I anticipated.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is you traded Chuba, who I think at the time was he the starter, or like he was just barely taking snaps?
He was the starter, but the team sucked. And Brooks was coming in on the horizon.
Yeah.
Like, process-wise, I have no problems with trading Chuba then. But, oh, man. That might be my biggest regret this season, is trading Chuba. Like, Monty's been everything I wanted.
Oh, yeah.
No problems with Monty. But, man.
Yeah, I had Chuba at one point, too. And I traded him to Dove. I think Dove still has him, right? Yeah, Dubs.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Chuba has been. insane. And now with the contract and with the injury to Brooks, like this might be Chuba's team next year again. Especially if he plays all 17 this year, that's gonna be wild. But we'll see. Yeah. So you want to go through the rest of yours?
Baker, Baker Mayfield. I was expecting him to be like obviously he was like a low end QB1 last year. They lose Dave Canales to their offensive coordinator to the Panthers. And I sort of expect them to like fall to earth a bit. Doesn't happen. He's QB4 in points per game, at least in our scoring. He's an elite guy. Lighten it up, even though Chris Godwin gets hurt and Mike Evans gets hurt, and his first read is Cade Otton and Jalen McMillan. Nothing against Jalen McMillan, but he's a rookie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did not see this coming. Baker Mayfield, suddenly elite quarterback, playing at he's killing it. And then another guy, I thought this guy, I'll completely admit this, I thought this guy was washed.
Oh, me too.
I thought this guy was done. I don't think you could have. If you offered me this guy for a third, I don't know if I would have said yes. But Russell Wilson has proven us so wrong. He's been efficient. He's scoring points. He somehow just stopped doing negative plays. He's hitting George Pickens and Mike Williams on these deep balls every week. And it's pretty wild to watch. And the other guy, I did not think Bo Nix could play quarterback. Like, mea culpa, Sean Payton, you know what you're doing. I'll never doubt you again. But I thought Bo Nix did not look like a NFL quality quarterback, and then suddenly now he's rookie of the year
over Jaden Daniels.
I mean, it's either him or Jaden.
It is 100%. All right, here's.
And I didn't see it coming. He felt a 112 in our draft, and man.
So
anyway,
what are you? Is Bo Nix going to be the starter for the Broncos in 3 years? Do you think this has staying power, or is this like all right, beginner's luck, and then he kind of falls off next year, a la like Mac Jones?
So 2020, that'd be 2028.
Sure, or just in a
Week
couple
one
years.
starter.
Is he the franchise quarterback?
I don't know. I feel like Sean Payton might be like, maybe he really is like the Kevin O'Connell, where his system and his genius can just like elevate these guys to a level. So I'm gonna go with, if Sean Payton is still there, then yes. But something happens to Sean Payton, then no.
If he gets if he gets stabbed in the chest or something like was that Jacoby Brissett who got stabbed in the chest?
No. What? It was the guy in the Niners. So the guy in the Niners, the rookie receiver.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about Ricky Pearsall. He got shot. No, I was talking about the guy who like the training staff accidentally stabbed him before the game.
Oh, yeah, Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod, that was a Tyrod thing, yes.
Tyrod, yeah. And then Herbert.
Yep.
That story is still wild to me, because they say like the first, like on the first drive, Herbert went to the line and like switched the protection, and they said he had never done it in practice. And then like he gets thrown into the game, and it's like the first thing he does, and they're like, "Oh my god,
that's actually crazy." Yeah, so Bo Nix stuff, I'm fascinated by him. So, like, a lot of what his profile says shouldn't work. He's 24. He went to Oregon. Like,
He went to like 3 different. He went to Auburn and
yeah,
then Oregon.
Yep.
Like,
and
I do wonder. It does seem like we're sort of seeing this with Anthony Richardson. Like, maybe if you're a quarterback, you just want to stay in as long as possible.
yeah,
Just because it seems like these NFL teams will, if you don't immediately perform, they're gonna chuck you out and put in the next guys. You just want to stay in the incubator as long as possible.
yeah.
So I wonder if we're gonna see more of that going forward. Like, I know a lot of people are projecting that Drew Allar is gonna stay at Penn State for that reason.
I heard the same about
season.
Milroe. There might be another year, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think Milroe would really benefit from that.
I think so too. Yeah. But yeah, what I was gonna say about Bo Nix is, so I had Bo Nix in the beginning of the year, and I remember exactly what it felt like because I had to start him a couple times. The first 4 weeks of the year, he could not throw like at all. Like he had a 50% completion percentage. He was missing everybody. He had a 60-yard passing game playing all the snaps against the Jets. Jets had Sauce Gardner at the time and stuff.
Was that the game where Cortland Sutton had more yard
Oh yeah. Like he had
But they lost more yards from sacks than they got passing yards or something.
Yeah, and then Cortland Sutton I think had like 3 catches for like negative something yards or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so that was that game. And then but the surprising thing about Bo Nix was the rushing. Like he had a huge rushing upside. He had rushing touchdowns going on and 40 yards here, 60 yards here. He had a 75-yard rushing game against the Saints. And so you're like, okay. So Bo's got and he started the pass a little bit better. Over the midpoint of the season, you're like, okay, maybe Bo can be like a 202 with a rushing touchdown type of guy, and like that would be a good week for him. And then he started going bananas the last like 5 weeks or so. This Cleveland game he had 2 picks, but up to that point he had like a way higher completion percentage, a lot more passing touchdowns, and then he stopped running the ball. Like 3 carries -5 yards, 2 carries 5 yards, 1 carry 5 yards, 3 carries 4 yards, and you're like, okay, so like, what is Bo Nix at this point? Is he like the truth is probably somewhere in the middle there? But it's been interesting to see how he's like changed over the course of the year because he had like 300 rushing yards like 5 weeks ago, and he still does.
It's completely changed his play style.
Yeah,
over the course of the season.
And the Broncos have gotten a lot better too. So like, they clearly figured something out that like was missing and has gotten a lot better. But I don't know. It's very interesting. But yeah, go through your last 3 guys here.
We already talked about Chuba a bit, but obviously I did not see this coming from Chuba. Brock Bowers, I thought he'd be solid, and now he's like the best tight end in the league immediately. And he fell to the 2nd round in our draft.
Yeah, he went 201.
Like in retrospect, he's like a top 5 pick, top 4 pick.
Oh, easily. Yeah, you could make an argument that the positional advantage he gives you, like he should have been like the 102 after like Jaden Daniels or something.
Yeah, crazy,
dude. I remember because I hold on one second. I had the 112. And I picked Bo Nix over Brock Bowers. And I remember staring down the pick, and here were the 3 guys in my head, okay? So I was thinking, I'm either going to go... Because my strategy with the 112 was like, I'm going to see who falls to me, and I'm going to take the best player available.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you kind of have to at that spot.
Right. And I knew that I thought that the super top-tier guys were all gone after like the 106, 107 last year. So then I was kind of dealing with all the tier 2 guys. And I remember looking at Brock Bowers and thinking, okay, so Sam Laporta had the number 1 overall tight end season as a rookie. Like, statistically, just what are the odds that it happens again where the number 1 overall tight end is a rookie? Even though I believed in Brock Bowers as a talent, I was like, there's been so many really highly touted great tight ends, like Greg Olsen, amazing tight end, huge pedigree. and didn't do anything for a couple years until he got more situated and then was like really good in Carolina. So like, and yeah, you never know. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the odds
and obviously
that it won't happen. Yeah.
And how much do you trust the Raiders organization?
Right.
I don't.
Right. Or their quarterback situation or anything about the Raiders right now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just kidding. Brock Bowers is completely insane. And he might literally have one of the greatest tight end seasons ever, like this year, like as a rookie. Like he's on pace for probably 100 catches, like 1,200 yards, and maybe like 6 or 7 touchdowns. That's completely insane.
Kind of wild.
Yeah.
Kind of wild. And then last one for our IDP fans and our Eagles fans out there. Zach Bond just back up in New Orleans. They signed him to be the inside linebacker day one of free agency, and all the Eagles media is like, I like none of the Eagles media understands it. And then he starts playing, and turns out he's a beast.
Dude.
Flying all over the field, making plays, getting sacks.
He doesn't make
breaking up passes. I don't get it. I don't get it.
This is a year 5 breakout for him.
IDP overachiever of the year.
Oh,
Zach Bond.
Yeah,
we love to see it as a Birds fan. Go Birds! But
I remember when he got drafted, he was really good in Madden because he was fast, and I had him in a franchise we were doing, and I used him as like an off-ball linebacker and all that kind of stuff, and he was really good. And then I remember in real life he like didn't even play, and I was like, oh, okay, so he's another one of these like fast guys who like can't play football, right? And like I've still believed that up until this year, and all of a sudden,
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Right.
Why wouldn't you?
It's been 4 years. He didn't even play, and all of a sudden he is like so. Think about it. Like they have Nakobe Dean, who was on that freak Georgia team, and like Zach Bond is like outshining him right now. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. He has four fumbles, 3 sacks. Yeah.
I think he's going to get all pro votes this year. I really do.
Probably.
Yeah. Just want to throw that out there for our IDP fans.
Oh, heck yeah.
That to IDP. All right, let's get to your list. You got a couple guys here.
So the obvious,
including one, I thought this guy would be good for fantasy. I did not expect him to be good for real life.
No.
And boy, was I wrong. So
the super obvious, like, blew up the fantasy spectrum this year was Jaden Daniels, obviously. I had the feeling that he would probably come into the league with a little bit of like that. So like, do you remember when Lamar came in and they were having him run plays like partially, like part of the time with Joe Flacco, and then they like when he did run plays, they like didn't let him throw the ball very much, or like he wasn't throwing downfield, but like he was fast and he was dangerous and all that kind of stuff. I remember a lot of people saying, well, Jaden Daniels looks kind of raw, except for the LSU year. And the LSU year, he had all these amazing receivers and all this stuff.
That's what got me was he was bad until he played behind 2 top 20 picks at tackle and 2 top 20 picks wide receivers.
Yeah, right.
and now he's good. Wow, wonder how that happened.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and here's another thing that I should just probably never trust podcasts again in my life. I remember listening to, so there's a fantasy podcast filmed in Arizona, and they're all like Arizona State fans and stuff, and they had met Jaden Daniels before, and they were talking about how like this guy doesn't really have it, like he's a good college QB, but like we saw him at Arizona State and he couldn't do anything, and like his game was all over the place and he looked super raw, and like and so in my head I start hearing all these things and I'm like, okay, this is probably going to be, if he's good, it'll probably be an Anthony Richardson style first year, or Sorry, like a raw talent who's fast, or like a
Yeah.
Lamar year one where like he wasn't throwing the ball like Lamar year 2 3, right?
Yeah.
I would
And
have
like
never.
I expected him to be good for fantasy because of scrambling, but
Yes, yeah, but like I would have never expected such a good completion percentage. Also, just like I know we like overrate primetime games and like big time throws and stuff, but like when the moment has gotten crazy this year, like he's out there chucking freaking bombs and like doing the most insane stuff. Like he has that one Hail Mary. He had the one to Terry McLaurin like a week or two ago. At the end of the game, was that was the Dallas game, right?
that team was well. But yeah.
Yeah. So like just I would have never expected that he would already be a top five fantasy talent and like honestly in real life he's probably a top 10 like QB that you'd want to have on your team already. So that's
Another
pretty insane.
the thing with the big problem with a lot of these running quarterbacks is that like they score a lot of fantasy points, but their big issue is, do they keep the job? Like, are they good enough to keep the job? And it seems like he solved that.
Yeah, a la Justin Fields, right?
Yeah, like Justin Fields was great, and then until he was benched.
Yeah,
But it seems like Jane Daniels isn't going to get benched,
yeah, and that's
and that sort of like hits the sweet spot there.
yeah, yeah. Just the fact that he can read defenses so well and make pre-snap reads and have a high completion percentage and like I don't think Jaden's going anywhere without injury. Like I think he's here for 10, 15 years without injury.
Oh
So
yeah, oh yeah.
yeah, that's a big one. My next one, I never expected to say this in my life.
Really,
I really didn't.
I loved him. I loved him coming out of college. But
That was the end for me. Like once he couldn't even see the field, and like the Lions haven't had a second receiver for years. Like
he was doing all the things that Buzz do for a long time.
yeah, I don't know. I never saw it coming. But I traded for so there was a lot of preseason hype around Jameson Williams. So there's always preseason hype around like everybody. And like everyone's in the best shape of their life. Everyone's having the best camp of all time. Everyone looks like a Greek god, and then they get to the season, and wow, Jameson has no snaps again. So like that's kind of what I expected to happen. He hasn't been like he has 63 targets on the year. Now he did get hurt, but just the fact that he's out there actually running routes and actually making plays is like it's very surprising to me. He still looks like Goodwill Jalen Waddle a little bit, where like he doesn't run routes quite as crisp. He doesn't catch the ball as well. His body control's not as good. Like he still looks like a little bit of like a baby deer out there, but he has really come on a lot. And like I traded for him in redraft, and I've had to play him a few times, and he has not let me down. So kudos to you, Jameson, for finally putting it together. And he's still 23, so he came into the league as a baby, so he's still got time.
Yeah, I do. With all these teams playing too high, like and that like sort of becoming a thing. One of the really big ways you can beat too high is you just run past them, because the safeties, they're trying to cover like the deep crossers.
Right.
Yeah. Like you can just run past them, and Jameson is good as that. Another guy who sort of, unfortunately, but Rashid Shaheed, I think you probably could put him on here.
Oh yeah.
But it's the same sort of thing where like the same season was working. They would basically just have Olave on crossers and Shaheed run in verts. And it just put the safeties in a bind because they couldn't cover both. So, and then obviously the Lions suddenly became the 2007 Patriots, but everyone loves them.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah, that is fun. Well,
I guess we could see that coming, but I mean, you do remember how the 2007 Patriots ended, right?
That's true. Yeah, I am thankful for that because they would have taken my Dolphins undefeated record thing. I still can't believe that hasn't happened again yet, but it's the NFL, I guess. Yeah. So my last, I just kind of grouped a whole bunch of players in like a bucket for this one.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, they all kind of did similar things. So this grouping is just Joe Mixon, Saquon, Josh Jacobs, J.K. Dobbins. I have always been in my whole fantasy career, which now is like probably I don't know almost 20 years.
Oh yeah.
My whole fantasy career, I've always seen okay, aged running back who probably had his prime already is my thought process. Going to a new organization where they probably drafted a later round back at some point, or has a younger back on the team. They typically, in my experience, and I have never run stats on this, but it's just kind of a gut thing. They typically don't work out. To have a new, because this is Mixon's eighth year.
The guy, not this last offseason, not this last free agency period, but the pre-agency period before last season, the running back who got the high per year contract was Miles Sanders, and he was basically just like immediately crashed and burned.
Yes. Yeah, and Sanders was younger too. I think Miles Sanders is only like 26, 27?
Something like that.
He's younger than Mixon. But Mixon is having like one of his best seasons ever. And it could end as his best season ever. And he was hurt for 3 games. And it's just he's 28. He's gonna be 29 soon. He's in his 8th year, and somehow this is like and I remember watching Mixon last year and being like, he looks a little washed. He looks a little hurt. Or no, maybe it was 2 years ago, but he was like hovering around that 3 a carry, like in the 3.9 or whatever. Yeah. So Mixon, Dobbins, I don't care what you say. You can't convince me anyone thought J.K. Dobbins was going to do this year.
If you had have offered me, like, if you had offered him to me for a third, I would have said no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was no way. And then of course you have Saquon, who, again,
Go Birds.
all of us go Birds. Yep, all of us know Saquon's talent. Obviously, like the talent has always been undisputable. But the fact that he is going to have a RB1 season after all the injuries and after being in the league for 6 years, switching teams. In a situation, by the way, where the quarterback runs in like a ton of touchdowns. Like everything said that shouldn't work. And of course, Josh Jacobs, I was actually probably more in on just because he's 26.
I mean, you've always been a Jacobs guy.
And I've always been a Jacobs guy. And the price on Jacobs wasn't as high as it was on like Saquon and stuff. So, yeah. So that whole bucket, I'm very surprised that all of those worked out. I would have said maybe 1 or 2 of them could have worked, but the fact that all of them worked this year, I mean, as far as like running backs this year, I'm so used to young running back doing like kind of catching up to the pack, and the older running backs kind of slowly falling off or quickly falling off, a la Zeke, Todd Gurley, etc. That I didn't leave a lot of room that the whole pack of running backs this year would be like almost 30. That's crazy to me. Like Kamara and Derrick Henry and all these guys, it's wild to me. So the fact that happened is pretty insane. Yeah, so let's talk about our most trash can underachievers of the year. Now that we can get super negative.
If you would have told me that the wide receiver 8 in points per game in our league last year, we're gonna get a QB upgrade, even be startable, I would not have believed you. And like obviously, there's bigger things going on here with the Shane Waldron terrorism. You had to be disappointed,
dude.
With DJ Moore.
Yeah,
and just like the Bears in general, and like years, but there was a lot of hope, and DJ Moore had already shown that he could succeed in this bad environment.
Yeah,
like it's been better these last couple weeks, but it was. I mean, he's helping people win their constantly.
Yeah,
you know.
Right. Yeah, DJ Moore makes me sad. last year I thought was like the first real year of DJ Moore, but now I'm starting to wonder like was that the outlier year, and will DJ Moore always be like a 20s range guy just because of like it feels like DJ Moore is cursed at this point. It's been like 7 years, and
I don't know. There's always there's so many good wide receivers
yeah,
in every year, and so like he's like at some point like it just pushes the old guys down.
yeah,
This is another guy. I was expecting the Eagles to have a lot more passing volume.
yeah.
Basically, like switching worked for him. But the guy really hurt was Devontae Smith, my boy.
Yep.
All the talent in the world, elite stuff, and I hurt the game.
Oof. I didn't realize how
Hurts the
bad this
game.
was. I didn't like really look at it very much because I have AJ Brown and Hurts, and so I like don't even consider having Devonta on my team.
Yeah,
But 62 targets at this point in the year. Oof.
yeah. And the thing is, like, he's good.
Yeah.
I have no idea. You have nobody. Yeah, how many times Hurts just throws a deep ball into the end zone, jumps up and wins it,
Mm-hmm.
even though he's like 130 pounds. But I was passing volume. I was expecting them to scheme him up more stuff, and it didn't happen. And it's both as a Eagles fan and as a fantasy owner.
Yeah.
Number 3. I'm gonna go.
I was just gonna say he did miss 3 games, but still, I mean, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's rough. Number 3 is with Achan and Jonnu Smith getting targets.
Yeah.
Seems like there's nothing. I know a lot of his advanced stuff, like his targets per route run and stuff. I'm assuming, I'm pretty sure they're around the same this year, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's by becoming a check down artist.
Yeah.
But it's been good for the Dolphins, so
Yeah, the funny part about the Waddle stuff, because I watch like all the Dolphin snaps, is like all of us Finns fans, we still see like I mean the last 3 weeks will tell you the actual story. When they want to get Waddle involved, he's still elite. It's literally just been the offense changed and Tua got hurt, and we had essentially what was it 4 weeks of like the combination of Tyler Huntley and Skylar Thompson and whatever, and holy crap, they were so bad. I remember D Money texted me one day because I had Waddle on my bench for, I think it was Roshan or something, and he's like, "Dude, are you really gonna play XYZ third running back over Jalen Waddle?" And I was like, "Dude, you have no idea how bad it's gonna be today with Tyler Huntley." And I think Huntley had like 80 yards or something. It was so bad. Yeah, so that's the. What I'm saying is I'm gonna make excuses for Jalen Waddle until I die, and that's just is what it is. So.
And then number 4 on here, CJ Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Houston's got a lot, but people were expecting basically the Joe Burrow season from CJ Stroud this,
Yeah.
and it's been a disappointment. And disappointment for everyone who paid out the nose to get him back in the off season.
Yep.
And there's a lot of up with him, but if you look at his points per game, I think he's actually like next to Trevor Lawrence.
Ooh, yikes.
Which is rough. Obviously, long term, we believe in the
Yeah.
but there's some ugliness going on. And then I have these, which is the day 2 draft capital rookie running backs,
Oh,
which
yeah.
Jonathan Brooks, Trey
Oh,
Denson,
oh,
Blake Corum, and
oh.
Marlon Lloyd. Brooks has an excuse,
Yeah.
and so does Lloyd to some extent because they both got hurt. But I was seeing these guys to at least earn a timeshare,
Yeah.
and they're not.
Dude, they're so bad. All of them. They're so bad. I,
Like, and like these are guys that I liked coming out.
mm-hmm.
I like Corum a lot. Even if he had fumbling issues,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people like Brooks, including myself.
Yep.
And
Yeah, it never
but it
happened.
hasn't worked for any of them.
No.
This was a very rough rookie year. Like only 2 real like who Irving in
Yeah,
a
I guess.
timeshare
Yeah, I guess it's Bucky,
in
right?
Tampa Bay,
Yeah.
and
Like, yeah, like,
it's it's rough out there.
yeah, it's
Um,
really bad.
like a lot of like obviously like Benson, Corum, and Lloyd went to places with established starters, and so like the starter, but I think they would earn
Oh
some
my gosh,
snaps at
dude.
some point,
I'm looking
and they
at this
have.
now. So here's the top rookies in rushing yards. Bucky
Mm-hmm.
Irving, Tyrone Tracy, who I bought off the
Mm-hmm.
waiver wire, Ray Davis from Buffalo,
I forgot about Ray
and
Davis.
Isaac Garendo is 4th. And he's played like 3
Already,
games.
already.
Yeah. And Braylon Allen is 5th. So there you go. That's crazy. That's so crazy to me.
Yeah, so big underachiever, rookie running backs.
Yeah.
They say this class is really good, but let's hope they avoid this fate.
Yep. So let's move into mine. Very obvious one again here. Good old Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. I don't quite know what to say. Here's what I think, and maybe you feel this way too, Mio. I felt like post week 6 for the Chiefs, he was going to go nuts. I thought that he was going to just look like old Patrick Mahomes again, and just start cooking people, just going like nuclear. Like I thought we'd see some 4 touchdown games. I thought it would be like just pure Chiefs domination. I know they've been missing a lot of receivers, but they also have had, I think they've had a better supporting cast than last year. I think, they at least have
That's
Worthy.
true.
They had Juju come back for a little bit. They have Hopkins now. Like, Kelsey's been largely the same as last year. Obviously Kelsey's lost a step, but he's there. It to me looks like some kind of play calling thing or some kind of identity thing. Like I don't know, but I expected the Chiefs to figure this out after maybe week 4 or like week 6 or now we're at week 15 and it still looks like the Chiefs are struggling with every single game and somehow finding a way to win at the end. Mahomes doesn't have horrible stats, but yeah.
Yeah, it feels like the Chiefs just barely getting enough to do this for a year and a half now. And like they have done it. Maybe they just don't see the need to change. But it just feels like for a year and a half everything's been hard.
It does. And yeah. I was telling Derek, I was like, I understand that Patrick Mahomes has bad weapons right now, but like he's literally getting outscored by Bo Nix, and Bo Nix is on like literally no weapon central. He's like throwing to like Lil Jordan Humphrey, and like he has Cortland Sutton, which I guess is
What'd you say? Would you say that Worthy's probably been one of the big underachievers this?
Oh yeah, Worthy has flashed in the ways that you would expect with like just bomb touchdowns or like crossers or end arounds or like things that are like pretty impossible to mess up. But what's weird is like I thought he was a good route runner. When I watched his tape this offseason, it looked like he was, and he looks like he can't run a route to save his life now. I don't know. There's something very different going on there, but
I just remember the one trying to. I forget when it was. Where like I don't know if you saw this, but like Mahomes threw a bomb and he was open.
mm-hmm.
And was on the field. Like there wasn't anyone around him, but he caught it and didn't get 2 feet in, even though there was no one around him.
Yeah.
It like, okay, like this is your job. You need to like be able to like blindfold know, like, okay, here's where the sideline is.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously Worthy's not ready yet, and that's a big miss for the Chiefs. The Chiefs have had horrible job drafting receivers, by the way. Like it's getting like next level bad now. There are so many hits at receiver, and the Chiefs just don't ever find them. I had to go back and look because I was trying to think to myself like how dominant Patrick Mahomes regular season Patrick Mahomes was. We already know he cooks people in the playoffs, right? So 2022, when D Money first traded for him, he had 430 fantasy points. This year he's at 230, and there's 4 games left. So he might maybe get to 300. So he's like 150 points.
75%.
Yeah,
of what he was.
Yeah, he's like a full blown 100 points off of like what we think of Patrick Mahomes, like the name Patrick Mahomes was and can be. Like he had a 50 touchdown, 26 touchdown, 38, 37, 41, and now last year he was at 27. This year he's at 20. So this is like bad Jared Goff years type of stuff going on. I don't know. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes just doesn't care anymore. Like he's won too many rings, or I don't know. But something has to change, obviously.
You have to imagine the regular season is boring.
Yeah, especially when you win anyway. So like he has no reason to go Hamburglar out there all the time, I guess. But next one, this is a pretty obvious one, pretty sad one. I don't want this to be the case, but it's Anthony Richardson. This dude is a athletic freak of all freaks, but has not really put it together. This game here against the Jets, I have up on the screen right now. This one gave me a little bit of hope. He had 3 touchdowns. He had a decent completion percentage, but I just don't think this guy can throw. 100 completions on 215 attempts is like insane. He fooled me last year. Now, granted, Derek would say very small sample size. That's true. He had 50 completions to 84 attempts. But I saw some sauce last year that like this dude just does not seem to have as much right now. Makes me very sad. I hope he figures it out. He did have some good games recently, or better games. And they have a bye right now, so I'm hoping he like puts on a good. I'm hoping he gives us reason to be hopeful next year. But maybe he'll be like a post-hype sleeper for like 2025. But yeah, for now, I don't believe in Anthony Richardson. I think he probably has a short leash, and then they probably draft someone else.
Yeah, his he just hasn't played enough quarterback to be good at it. Like, what was it like? He's only played like college or something.
Yeah, I don't even think he's up to like 30 games yet between, like from high school to the pros. Like he's played in 15 pro games, and I think he only played like 8 in college or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, and he just it's unfortunate, but he just doesn't have the experience to be good. And if they're not going to give him a leash, then he's never going to.
Right.
It seems like they're not giving him a leash, so.
No. I mean, yeah, they probably should have never benched him unless they were going to bench him, like for real. That was pretty dumb in my opinion. But.
Yeah, but.
All right, next guy. This one hurts. Good old Travis Etienne, 25-year-old, 3 years in the league. Yes, he's been banged up. Yes, he has not looked quite the same. All right. This is my my post last year rationale. I wanted to get rid of Etienne so bad last year, because when I was watching the game, there was something up. Something did not look right. He had 3 a carry, and like there were times where like yes, yards per carry doesn't tell the whole story, because there's times where like you just run into a wall and there's nothing that any great running back could have done. Barry Sanders couldn't have got through the hole, right? But there were times last year where I was watching Travis Etienne, and there was like a very clear, good lane, and he just kind of had like the Austin Eckler thing from last year going on, where it was like kind of slow, kind of plodding, kind of looked a little banged up. He had a lot of catches last year that kind of saved his season, a lot of check down stuff, because the Jags and Trevor Lawrence do this thing where they throw like 1 million balls to Etienne and Evan Ingram every game, instead of using wideouts. But yeah, he lost something last year, and I think it could have been injury related. I don't really know. But this year, I mean, everything kind of fell apart.
I was definitely not expecting Tank Bigsby to eat his lunch out of nowhere.
Dude, yeah. Well, Tank Bigsby last year was like one of those day 2 guys, like we just talked about with Corum and Benson and stuff, who like was nothing.
Yeah, and then again, I guess they have hope then. ETN sort of, not only did he lose the juice, got terrible, and also the defense was terrible, so they had to throw the ball downfield more. Just a really perfect storm of. And is it his fault? Probably.
Yeah, so ETN, it ain't gonna happen this year for sure. We'll see. Yep. We'll see. Next year will be very interesting for him because he's still young. And then my last one. This one hurts my soul. It's Tank Dell.
I was so high on Tank Dell. I offered in a different league. I offered a first, like the 106 for Tank Dell, and the guy said no.
Oh man. Yeah. He's 25. I thought, all right, here's the evil part of my brain, okay? I was like, okay, D-Money and Lamarvis are right. It's Nico, it's Diggs, Tank's the third. But Diggs is hurt now. So I can take a victory lap after Tank Dell goes off, because now Diggs is gone, CJ Stroud's still great, Nico's going to demand a lot of coverage. So Tank Dell's going to eat at least 6-7 catches a game and be fine. Even that hasn't happened.
Stroud's in love with Tank Dell.
Yeah, and also Stroud like worships the ground he walks on. So it didn't work. Tank is not the guy that we thought he was last year. Everything is way down. Like the yards per completion is way down. Target
in a way, it sort of reminds me. It almost sort of reminds me of what happened with Elijah Moore. Where like after Elijah Moore's rookie season, he looked like a guy.
Yeah.
And then it just never happened.
Yep. Yeah. So,
but
I think Tank is probably going to be a good third on their team, going forward. But yeah, he's just not. He's not who I thought he was, and I'm sad now.
Yeah, okay. He's definitely not going to be a difference maker in fantasy.
No, not a top 24 guy probably. So this next segment we're going to do, I was just calling it players we are probably saying goodbye to. This is probably the last run for these guys. It's probably over, so it's time to have a couple funerals, say goodbye to these players. The first one that I put here, this one's a little obvious, but now that JSN's really cooking, it is probably the end of good old Tyler Lockett. 32, had a great run. There was
elite run.
There was a time where
every time I see those compilations of him catching the ball and immediately going down, Makes me
Yes.
laugh.
He is really good at staying healthy. I mean, if you look at his games, he played 16 like every year. It's actually insane. Like he
I mean, the
kind of
best
smart.
abilities available.
Yeah, yeah.
What they say
So
is Anthony Richardson is discovering.
yeah. So he's been like mid this year. He's got 500 yards, 2 touchdowns, 41 catches. But now that JSN's in town, DK Metcalf, even with Geno being second in passing yards right now, like Lockett's probably done. Then we move on to now. I would love to know what you think of this guy. Where are you sitting on Debo right now, Luke?
Oh, it's very difficult for me to bet against Shanahan, but at the same time, he's had so many. He's had so many touches. Like I don't know. I he feels like one of those guys that he's gonna have a low floor and like ridiculous spike weeks, but he's starting to get to the point where the start making up for the low floor.
Yeah,
That's sort of what I see. Like I don't think he's gonna be a useless player by any means, but
yeah. There was
he's
just
moving. He's moving from a player you trust in your wide receiver spot to a player you trust in your flex, and eventually he's gonna drop down from there.
yeah, yeah. The thing that has changed my mind is just literally just eye watching stuff.
Yeah.
Debo normally almost always breaks the first tackle on a screen and gets loose and makes something
Yak
of it.
monster.
Yeah, just the yak. But like the yak has not looked the same this year to me. So we might be seeing the beginning of the end for good old Debo here, who is basically a running back, and he's going to be 29 next year. So I'm calling it a little early, but I don't know. I'm not sure about Debo anymore. And then can you give us your two?
It makes me sad because Debo's a prime Debo was such a
Oh,
joy
yeah.
to watch, and
So good.
so I'm very sad to is the beginning of the end for him.
Yep.
Um,
All right. Who else are we retiring?
I I hate to say this, 1-year-old coming off an ACL tear, it's not looking good for Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
That gonna be looking like Miami Odell Beckham in the near future.
Yeah. Yeah. He was still looking pretty good early in the year. Getting a lot of targets, getting open in like the underneath area.
Yeah.
But he's gonna be 32. I could see him having a little bit of like a feeling like end of his career where he's useful because he's fidgety and he knows how to run routes really well.
Yeah, that was always the the reason I still think Tyreek's gonna age well is because
Yeah.
like yeah, sure Tyreek's gonna lose a step, but Tyreek losing a step means he's as fast as everyone else, and also he knows how to run routes. Because he has like a dozen years of routes,
Right.
so yeah, maybe, but
Yeah.
he's definitely past the prime.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I'm sort of interested to hear what you think about this, but what are we doing with Christian McCaffrey?
Oh, that is the hardest
Is
thing.
Achilles isn't something to mess with. Although J.K. Dobbins,
Yeah.
uh,
I think
obviously when he gets that role, he's gonna be electric.
Yeah.
Are his legs gonna hold up?
Dude.
And that's the $1 million question.
So for redraft next year, I'm gonna be back in just because I think the price will get cheaper, and
That's true.
the risk reward gets evened out when it's Christian McCaffrey, right? But if I was a betting man, I would bet that we've definitely seen the best years of Christian McCaffrey. I would say whatever situation he's in next year, he's not going to get the workload that he had been getting, seeing like 400 touches, 350 touches, that kind of thing. I think he'll probably be used sparingly and intelligently because I don't think Niners want to go to the playoffs and not have Christian McCaffrey next year.
Yeah.
So they'll probably use him maybe 10, 15 touches a game type situation.
Right, he'll be on a pitch count. He'll be on
the pitch count.
Probably all year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I think McCaffrey, he for Dynasty, he's really interesting. Now, here's the thing. No one's going to have him in Dynasty except for Dove because it's Dove, and he loves the 49ers. So it doesn't really matter for our league. But, yeah, would you give up a 1 for Christian McCaffrey at this point? I feel like the answer probably should be yes, because even if you have 1 year of Christian McCaffrey, like, the odds of that 1 becoming Christian McCaffrey are not great, right? But, man, I don't know. Like, it really depends in your team structure and if you're win now or not is probably the answer. But
that's definitely a trade that that's a trade you make at the deadline.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
That's not a trade you make. At least I wouldn't be.
Right.
But at the deadline, he might not be available. So you never know.
Correct. Yeah, because he's probably on a winning team by the deadline anyway. Unless he, like, there is a chance that he like literally just doesn't recover and his legs don't work the same, and like, father time and injuries catch everybody. But all right, so we're gonna move on to the last segment here, and that is playoff predictions. Now I've already mapped out all of my playoff predictions, and so here's what I got. So. Unfortunately, I don't think on the desktop version here there's like a good way to look at all the playoff games. I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, there is. So here's what I got. This is good for week 15 anyway. So I have Mio beating Kansas. As funny as much as it would please my soul for Kansas to get another win this year, that would be so funny. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Mio will take care of business here. Not that Kansas doesn't have a dangerous team, because he's got good old boy Patrick Taylor this week, and Juwan Jennings and Jameson and like Keenan Allen and Jonnu, all these guys who have been like dangerous late in the year. It would not shock me for him to win. I'm taking Mio though.
That's what we said. That's what we said at the top of the show. Mm-hmm. This is the most parity we've ever had.
Yes, it is. I got Impervious beating Omlinator. This is just strictly Omlinator has Ty Johnson at running back right now, and Alec Pierce, and like these guys who could do something. Pop Douglas, but like probably won't. So I'm just taking the
Omlinator. I'll have you know, they have played twice this year, and Omlinator won both.
Is that right?
Games.
I didn't know that. That's funny. Well, if he does do a third,
including the one 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, I forgot about
that. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, but
right. Yeah, he's probably due for an L, but we will see. Next up, I have D Money getting upset by Jay Neihart. Jay Neihart has a scrappy team that it would not surprise me to see some like blow up game from Derrick Henry and Aaron Jones that are just like ridiculous. And I think the Bo Nix is going to have a huge game against Indy. I don't know why. It just something is screaming. How funny would it be for Bo Nix to stick it to D Money here? Breece Hall is also banged up. I don't know if he's going to play. DJ Moore has not been great. Kirk Cousins hasn't thrown a touchdown in 4 weeks for Drake London. So, yeah, I don't know. Could happen.
Wide receiver 2 behind Darnell Mooney.
Yep.
Would you believe here someone told you, oh, yeah, Darnell Mooney's going to have a better season than DJ Moore next year? You would have laughed at him. I would have laughed at him.
And I'm a Mooney truther, but yeah, I would have definitely laughed at him. Okay, so last matchup, LaMarvelous versus Anderson. I have LaMarvelous taking the dub here. LaMarvelous's team is very strong right now, and I just don't think that Anderson has the firepower. I'm also a little sketched about Caleb at Minnesota. That does not seem like a good matchup. And yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, Anderson, but I think LaMarvelous is going to win that game, which would take us to the next round. LaMarvelous, I would have him beating Jay Neihart to go to the championship, and I have Mio beating Impervious in the battle of our insane division.
Shocking.
And then I have the end. I do, in fact, have Mio winning it all. I think that the Burrow Chase stack is so disgusting this year. Monty is always eating. He's always eating touchdowns.
We probably should have talked a lot more about Burrow Chase, considering how much that has defined fantasy this season.
Oh, it has. It's been insane. I almost jokingly said Stroud has 15 touchdowns this year, and I think Burrow has 15 in like the last 2 games. It's so insane. Yeah, he has 33 touchdowns right now, and there's 4 games left. So Burrow is a strong MVP contender if his team wasn't losing so much. But yeah, I think Mio will end up winning it all. I think Devonta Smith will put together a good game or two. So will Jaden Reed. They'll have their pop-off games. Freiermuth has been playing a lot better with Russell Wilson. Mooney has been good. And the Jefferson Darnold stack is crazy too. Like when the stacks hit as often as the Burrow Chase stack and the Jefferson Darnold stack do. Plus you have really elite IDPs with Max Crosby and Hendrickson, and Highsmith's been good, and yeah, I see Mio taking.
Bernard's been shockingly good.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year.
he has. Yeah, I've been following him a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in the same position every week where if one of the stacks goes off, I probably win, and if neither of them go off, I probably lose.
Yep.
It's worked so far.
Yeah,
it's worked so far.
It's really easy to bet on Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those things turning out differently?
Probably wins. Very talky, but like I do think it's gonna be me, Impervious, D-Money, and Rob Marvel. I think Impervious is definitely capable of beating me. Every time I go up against him, it feels like a coin flip.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think D-Money's gonna make it to the finals against me, and I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna win.
Hey.
I'm gonna guarantee it, 100%.
Hey, well, nothing
100% guaranteed.
About
gonna win it.
Mio victory.
Gonna get the Nick Westbrook Akine jersey. Gonna display it on my wall.
That would be so
Take
fun.
a picture for everyone to see.
I'm gonna predict who I think you'll actually get as a jersey. Your homer pick would be Devonta Smith, obviously.
I'm not doing a homer pick.
Okay. If you don't,
I feel like that's sort of like this is your someone who was in a homer, and
yeah.
Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
It does, yeah. I feel the same way. If you end up picking someone other than the homer pick, I think you'll probably pick Jamar Chase because he's probably the one who carries you there, is my guess.
Yeah. I'd say like 80% chance is Chase.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Him or if Jefferson goes crazy down the stretch, I could see going Jefferson, but yeah.
I mean,
Darnold would be funny too.
Oh man, I might get a team mascot, Rashee Rice.
True, yeah. I forgot you had Rashee Rice. That's actually crazy. All right, and then let's predict a couple other people's jerseys for fun.
I don't know Impervious that well. I feel like you don't know the best out of everyone. Who do you think he would take?
If he goes homer, he might go with like he doesn't even have that many Eagles. I was gonna say I thought he had Goddard, but is Goddard he's on IR, right?
Goddard's on IR. Yeah, Goddard's on IR.
So he might go Goddard, or he might.
I think maybe I'm just reading you into him, but I feel like you'd like Puka.
Yeah.
Like he seems like a guy who would love Puka.
I was thinking. I also know he has a special connection to Justin Herbert because he was his like first ever draft pick.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
He was his first ever draft pick. He got him in the 109 in 2020, and he was like
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's like, I didn't even scout. I don't know anything. I just saw that this guy was highly drafted, and Herbert ended up being a huge reason why he was so good for so long because Herbert had some crazy seasons in the beginning there before they turned him into a game manager. But yeah.
And he's been good since the bye.
Yeah.
Like they've been letting him chuck it since the bye,
Mm-hmm.
even though his only receiver is Lad McConkey.
Correct. Yeah. Who, by the way, has done a good job this year. And then let's do LaMarvelous and D-Money's jerseys just for fun. LaMarvelous, I'm going to say
Marvelous.
He probably goes Saquon after this year. If he doesn't go Homer. I don't even know. Does he have a Raven right now? I don't even know if he does. I don't see one.
I'm not seeing one either.
I'm going to say that he's not going to go. Oh, he has Kyle Hamilton. I'm going to say that he's not going to go Homer though, and he's going to get a Saquon jersey if he wins this year.
Yeah, that seems.
It'd
be pretty funny if you got a Tua jersey.
That would be funny. That would be a little heartbreaking. I'm not going to lie. I don't even know if I would willingly buy him a Tua jersey and send it to his house. I don't know if I'd do it. But yeah, let's say D Money just for funsies too.
He seems like someone who would appreciate Breece Hall.
Yeah.
Like perform good enough down the stretch for him to want a Breece Hall jersey.
I think he'd probably go Lamar or.
That's a good shout. Lamar.
Yeah, I'm looking through his team. Yeah, I think my guess is going to be Lamar.
I don't think it would be Quentin Johnston for the memes.
Yeah, Quentin Johnston would be so funny. That'd be hilarious. Okay, well, there we go. We did it. We did another podcast. I will share that list of the 5 times we're going to do the podcast. That way, if anyone wants to be on the next podcast, Mio and I will take some reservations and figure out a way
your takes
to do it. So yes, we need your takes on the podcast. So if you want to be on one of the next ones, maybe we'll do like a sign up at some point to sign up to be on one of the specific episodes or something. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this was fun. I hope laughing at my suffering brought you lots of joy today. So, any final thoughts, Mio?
Oh yeah, we what was the middle 2 months like for you?
The middle 2 months.
We said we were going to get into it. Oh, just the middle of our playoff race, where from like week 12, it felt like you, me, and Impervious won every week.
Oh yeah.
And one of us was always coming from behind every week.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
And like every Monday, I'm looking at my phone like, are you kidding me? I can't make up any ground. I can't make any ground on any.
Well, that's the thing is none of us would ever lose. So like wins didn't feel good. They felt like necessary. Like you just, if you lost, it was soul crushing, and if you won, you were like, finally I can breathe for like 2 seconds.
You're just relieved.
Yeah.
you just felt relieved more than anything.
Yeah.
And I was in front and I was.
Yeah.
Can't even imagine what it was like for you being behind and stressed.
Dude, yeah.
Like it's crazy to say it, but like losing AJ Brown for 2 weeks probably cost you.
Yeah.
Which is crazy for a team of your caliber.
Dude, yeah. The other thing was, like, I feel like Impervious, outside of Puka, like never got any injuries this year. Like everyone was always fine and dandy and healthy. And I kept waiting for
Puka's
everyone
a hell
else.
of an injury.
Yeah, Puka was.
To be fair, Puka's
yes. Yeah, I'm definitely not saying he wasn't. He lost Mixon for like 2 weeks this year or something, but I just kept waiting for everyone else's teams to face injuries the way mine did, and that like never happened. Like I felt like I got absolutely destroyed with injuries in the first couple weeks, and then Yeah,
Oh, that's
it
right.
never really
You
evened
lost
out.
T. You lost T for all that time. You lost AJ Brown for all that time.
Yep. I lost Pacheco at one point. I had Tua, Waddle because of Tua. Like I lost like 5 to 10 starters easily, that were high caliber starters too. So yeah, it was a crazy year. But I'm just gonna watch from the sidelines and hate on all of you guys and make a bunch of excuses for myself for the rest of the year. So that's that's what I'm gonna do. But
Are they really excuses if they're true?
no, of course not. No, every excuse I make is completely accurate and legitimate, and nothing was my fault. So, um,
This is very much an aside, but have you decided how you're gonna do realignment?
no, I haven't decided yet. I
Because
nothing is like
I
concrete.
promise you, I had this idea before I knew you were gonna be in it. Just to add some spice to the consolation bracket, have the consolation bracket winner be able to pick one of the teams in their division.
That's awesome. That's a great idea, and I'm definitely gonna
Just,
pick D Money for fun.
just, just out there to make it more interesting.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I'm always thinking of ways to make it more spicy. So, well, cool. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and
Yeah, it was great to be here.
yeah,
I know I had fun.
bye now.